Netflix's Devil May Cry was a series that drew a lot of attention and divided the fans. Some liked it and others hated it. Dante faces several demons and needs to save the world from a fusion with hell. However, what if Dante was thrown into a world many years in the past? He would wake up in a version of Earth inhabited by monsters, magic, and bloodthirsty vampires. Would Dante be able to survive Netflix's Castlevania? That's what we're going to see in today's video. So drop your like and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. If the video goes well, I might do the opposite, putting the Castlevania trio in Netflix's Devil May Cry. Before anything, it's good to present Dante's abilities. Dante, the son of the legendary Sparda, is a human-demon hybrid who carries within him an almost infinite collection of powers. From his base form, he already displays strength, speed, endurance, and agility far beyond any human being. He can crush stone with his hands, dodge bullets at point-blank range, face colossal demons, and withstand explosions or fatal piercings as if they were mere scratches. In addition, he has an extremely accelerated regeneration factor, allowing him to recover from serious injuries in a matter of minutes, making him practically unstoppable in combat. His superhuman stamina ensures that he can fight for hours without rest, while his agility and reflexes make him a true spectacle in motion. But what really defines Dante is his Devil Trigger, a transformation that unleashes his demonic power completely, multiplying all of his abilities, granting flight and manipulation of demonic energy. Added to that, he's a born fighter, a master in hand-to-hand combat, a legendary swordsman, and a flawless marksman. Behind his laid-back attitude, Dante is also a strategic genius, always finding creative ways to overcome stronger enemies. In short, he is the personification of the fusion between genius, brutality, and absolute power. But with all these abilities, would he be able to face the villains of Castlevania? We're going to put him in one-on-one fights against these villains and see who would come out victorious, using Dante both in his base form and with Devil Trigger. So, let's begin. Dante versus Night Creatures. Dante's first confrontation would be against the Night Creatures. Here it would be a very easy fight. The Night Creatures prove to be vulnerable to conventional weapons and suffer more damage with holy water. Dante is a specialist in hunting demons, and even though Castlevania's demons are different, they are still quite similar in their composition and tactics, so he would defeat most without difficulty. Dante versus Dracula's generals. Moving into the second season, let's put Dante against Dracula's generals. He will not face them all at once, but one at a time. Dante versus Godbrand. Godbrand is a relatively strong vampire compared to others. However, he didn't show any special ability that makes him stand out, and he was killed by Isaac. Dante could finish him off using his sword or his firearms without even needing to use his Devil Trigger eyes or his transformation. Dante versus Raman. Going to another vampire, Raman. She is similar to Godbrand, however, she has the ability to have longer and sharper nails, which could allow her to attack from a safer distance. However, she still wouldn't be a match for our Demon Hunter, who was simply superior to her in everything. Dante versus Dragoslav. Moving to Dragoslav, he could be a bit more work for Dante. He is superior to the previous two, however, he doesn't show any special vampiric ability like Raman. So he would give a slight challenge, but nothing that Dante couldn't overcome.
Dante versus Sharma. Moving to the vampire Sharma, I believe he would give Dante some work. Not because of his strength, but because of his very high agility and his great skill with swords. Dante would see an opponent very complex to hit, but he would indeed be able to win, since Sharma might even cause a slight wound or two, but nothing that Dante wouldn't regenerate. Dante versus Zufal. Well, here Dante would also find slight difficulty in his base form. Zufal is quite skilled in the use of weapons and has great hand-to-hand combat, but I still don't see him triumphing against Dante, so it would end with the same result as Sharma. Dante versus Cho. I believe this would be Dante's first big difficulty, not because of the opponent's strength, but because of her abilities. Cho can transform into mist, escaping many of Dante's attacks. Besides that, she has a poison that can kill humans. Dante would survive the poison, but would have difficulty attacking her. Even though I believe Dante would win, it would be a longer fight.
Dante versus Hector and Isaac. I put both here because they have practically the same abilities, although Isaac is superior to Hector in the art of forging creatures.
The Forge Masters would give Dante a hard time if they're prepared, being able to create dozens or even 100 night creatures to fight Dante. Here, I believe this would be Dante's first major danger. He would have to use his Devil Trigger Eyes to overcome this challenge, and he would still have a chance of loss. Although I think he would survive, he would get hurt during the fight. Dante versus Magician. Here we have a complicated enemy for Dante. Dante doesn't have any form of magic, and his enemy is capable of controlling the minds of others with magical arts. Dante would have to be careful not to get caught by the spells, which could be easy since he is very fast. Dante could indeed defeat the enemy, but here, there would be a chance of defeat if he were caught by the magic. Dante versus Rotko. Here things get complicated for our human-demon hybrid. Dante is very strong, fast, and skilled, but his enemy is all that as well. Rotko is a master in combat, very strong physically compared to other vampires, and also has the ability to fly, which would give him an advantage against Dante. Dante would have to make a great effort or even use his Devil Trigger Eye to defeat his enemy. However, it would be difficult for Rotko to do anything against Dante since Dante has high regeneration. Dante versus Lenore. Here we have another variety challenge. Lenore is not much superior to a common vampire, but she is very versatile. She has the ability to transform into mist like Cho, and can also transform into bats. She is also very intelligent and persuasive. Dante would have to wait for an opening to hit him with his bullets or sword, but I still believe in Dante's victory, although it would be a long fight. Dante versus Striga. Here comes a physical challenge for Dante. Striga is very skilled in hand-to-hand combat and shows herself superior to other medium-level vampires in strength and speed. Dante would have difficulty in a fight against the vampire, their swords clashing, and Dante would have to be careful not to get hit. I believe here he would need to use his Devil Trigger Eye to defeat the vampire, but she also has chances of victory if she manages to immobilize Dante temporarily, although smaller. Dante versus Carmilla. Here we have the beginning of Dante's most difficult enemies. Although Striga is physically superior to Carmilla, Carmilla is faster and smarter than her allies. Besides that, she has a level of knowledge and magic, having shown that she can teleport through shadows. Carmilla could indeed defeat Dante if she caught him by surprise, and Dante would have to resort to the Devil Trigger without hesitation. Besides that, she can self-destruct, causing a huge explosion. I believe this could cause Dante a lot of problems, but he still has more chances of victory. Dante versus Rotko. Well, here Dante has extreme difficulty. Dragon is one of the strongest vampires presented in Castlevania. It took Sypha, Alucard, and Traver to defeat him, and they still had difficulty in this mission. Dante would have to take maximum care. His enemy is very strong, fast, and skilled. Dante would have to resort to his Devil Trigger Eye or even use his full transformation as a last resort. But Dante regenerates, and this gives him an advantage. I believe he would win, but he would also have high chances of loss. Dante versus Death. Dante versus Death would probably be one of Dante's most difficult confrontations. Death is very resistant and powerful, and Dante doesn't have much to do against it. Death can only be hurt by very powerful magical weapons, and Rebellion could perhaps be used for this purpose, but since we're using the Netflix version, it is not exactly magic, but rather very advanced science. The fight would last a long time, and Dante would have to resort to his full Devil Trigger form. Dante has a chance of winning, although the advantage is more on Death's side. Dante versus Dracula. The last battle Dante would have to face. Dante up to this point needed to use everything. His weapons, Devil Trigger, regeneration, abilities, everything combined to reach Dracula. But unfortunately, I think he wouldn't be able to defeat the Dark Lord. Dracula is the strongest being presented in the first Castlevania series, to the point of being unbeatable, having only lost because he wanted to. Dracula is a master in the use of centuries of magical arts, manipulates fire, electricity, teleports, flies, and is immune to most vampire weaknesses. Even with Devil Trigger activated, Dante wouldn't be able to stand against his enemy. The fight could last a long time, but Dracula would have many more ways to defeat Dante than the opposite. So, Dante loses this one. Well, what did you think of these fights? Do you think Dante would lose to someone I had him beating? Or do you think Dante could actually defeat Dracula and Death? Comment below.